the pudding, and the pudding in this case is a football. Boom! Eat my goal! The goalie has got football pie all over his shirt.
Welcome to this episode of the Down the Pub podcast. This is a emergency episode because we've been on a little bit of a hiatus just with the end of the season, but obviously huge news in Halifax today. There's been some kind of, some would say, bombshell news throughout the week really with Halifax, and joining me as always is Mr. From Aways himself, Gary Griffiths. Welcome to the show again, Gar.
Thank you, mate. This is the only thing I think would have left our Christmas vacations for, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Bombshell news. We're both on the beach in Dubai, putting our feet up.
I was actually on tour in Australia, playing in a tournament in Sydney, like Celtic were and Everton. But like it's it is kind of like a slow. It's a kind of slow time between the end of the season and Christmas. So I was thinking of like trying to set up a couple of interviews to kind of just keep the fans engaged, and or their fans engaged.
Our Cambodian fans, Cambodian
exactly.
fans, they have a need for content. It's insatiable.
It's true. So, but like the thing is, like, I don't really want to be annoying people coming up to Christmas too, right? And it's Thanksgiving in the States and all that kind of stuff. So I'll probably be into the new year before.
You're not U2 though, mate. You're not like if when U2 did that album and it automatically appeared in people's iTunes music folder.
Yeah,
I think with the podcast, if they're not forced to listen to it, so it's okay.
No. What I mean though is that, like, I just don't want to, like, if I'm reaching out to players to be.
If we meant people listening, yeah.
No. Like, nobody listens anyway. Like, I'm cool with that. I just don't want to be like annoying people, like, by saying like, hey, do you want to come on the show and talk football when, like, the last thing I want to do come to Christmas and around Thanksgiving. So.
I remember in the first season, because now, like, if we want to interview a player, we obviously go through Ryan at the club. But I remember in the first season, it was a bit more like the Wild West. So as soon as someone signed, I'd just like slide into their DM. Hi, I'm Gary. I run a blog about this team.
I did the same thing.
Fantastic if you wanted to talk.
Oh my god, it's so lame. I actually have a spiel that I copy and paste into stuff, just hoping that somebody gets, like, I get a nibble, and it's fucking lame. It's like, hi, I'm Anthony Abbott, the host of the Down the Pub podcast. We're a small podcast based in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Yeah,
did you give them all that?
Bitcoin. Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably what it is. They probably just like block me because they think I'm trying to sell stuff. But yeah, so but like, today was it kind of felt momentous, I think, because obviously it's the second, like, we've kind of moved on from, like, it really felt like we've moved on from Stephen's era. I think, like, up until now, although Stephen wasn't at the helm, like, it still kind of felt that the club was still rolling the way it was, and I really felt that Patrice kind of came in with like a breath of fresh air. And we were kind of just talking before we came on here. Like I think it's nice that we went for somebody just a little bit out of left field, that we didn't just go for the Jimmy Brennans and the usual kind of people that were kind of linked with the job. So first of all, I want to kind of get your reaction to the signing, and kind of give us a little bit of because I know you're a student of the game, so kind of tell us like the style of play that you've seen them, because he obviously. He said himself he's an attacking player. I know you've kind of dug a little bit deeper into it. So,
I think by saying he's an attacking coach, he's almost underestimating how attacking he actually is. He's an incredibly attacking coach. Just to start on, like, the thoughts on the hire. I mean, I had never heard. I'm not like massively familiar with the Canadian game, so I had never actually heard of him before yesterday when kind of things were leaking onto Twitter and stuff. But he seems like a really exciting coach. Like, he's got an incredible record in League One Ontario. He seems like, I liked the way he spoke. He seemed to carry himself really well in the press conference today, and he said a lot of the right things in terms of, like, I feel like with stuff like this, you can see the ghost of the interview process in those press conferences, because the buzzwords and the things they say a lot are obviously things that were reiterated to them during the interview process. So the emphasis he kept putting on attacking football, entertain the fans, send people home happy. I don't think we should ever, like, shit on Stephen Hart's legacy in any way, shape, or form, but I think probably the most negative part of his legacy would be that we had a lot of games at Wanderers grounds which weren't particularly enjoyable to watch, and that's down to a million different factors. But at the end of the day, people attach that sort of shit to the coach. I think there was an awareness from from Derek and Matt, and I think there was an awareness from Patrice today in the press conference to really reiterate and emphasize the fact that attacking football is what's on the menu now, especially as that press conference was happening the day before season ticket renewals were beginning season ticket sales for new customers were beginning. In terms of attacking football, yeah, I watched as much of Vaughan as I could over the past day or two, and there's some weird, interesting, very, very entertaining stuff going on there with them. In terms of formations, forget about formations. Just chuck that idea out the window. It's kind of becoming a bit archaic now. This idea of teams are 4-3-3 teams or 3-5-2 teams. Like when you watch the way his team set up in League One Ontario, like they weren't sticking to anything rigid in any way, shape, or form. Like if you really had to pin it down to something, it would be like a 4-1-4-1 sort of deal. But really what they were doing is I've read a bit about this idea recently of like, I think Pep Guardiola said it in this Arsenal podcast I listened to. There's a coach on there and talks about it a lot. I know. It's this idea of like teams now basically play a 5-5. They have 5 attackers and 5 defenders, and that's how teams, like the top teams who are the protagonists in their league, this is how they play. So if you kind of attach that sort of theory to the way Vaughan were playing last season, the 5 defenders they had 2 centre backs that stayed pretty rigid. Sorry, I say 5 defenders, I mean 5 defensive players. So they had 2 centre backs who sat in quite rigidly. They had a number 6 who always played quite close to them. And then the fullbacks were doing some mental shit. Like the right back would often like come in and tuck him to form like a back 3. That was quite normal. Sometimes the right back would kind of step into midfield. But the left back for Vaughan was fucking everywhere. Like he was a left back. He'd like drop in and be a double pivot with the 6. Sometimes he'd kind of like threaten to join in with the attack. But like he was absolutely everywhere. But that was their like 5 unit in terms of their 5 defensive players. In terms of their attacking 5, and again, this is like ridiculously attacking, like super, super aggressive. They had a 9 who was a focal point, quite a big guy as a 9. And he was kind of traditionally what a 9 looks like. But then the other 2 of the front 3 basically played as 10s just in behind him and really, really narrow as well. So you had like a little triangle there. And then you had 2 wide forwards as well. So you essentially had basically 5 forwards at times. It was a bit mental, actually. Like really, really attacking, really pressy, really fluid. Like the rotations between the players was just constant as well. Like especially, like I said, with the left back dropping into midfield, dropping out to left back. It was really, really interesting, actually. And I enjoyed watching those games because I felt like I was learning stuff, like just trying to figure out what their left back was doing. And then when the penny drops and you go, oh shit, okay, so they've committed that many players into attack. They need someone to drop in and make sure they're not killed on transition. So the left back comes in, and yeah, really interesting stuff.
That's kind of the way the game has gone. You often, when you listen to Tommy Wheeldon Jr. in a press conference or James Merriman or whatever, they're always talking about fluidity and how their systems change throughout the game. So, they'll be talking about a certain point of the game and you're like, yeah, we were playing like a 4-2-3-1 or whatever it was. Whereas I think that was kind of probably one of the issues that Stephen had, like, was that he was very rigid in the systems. It was very rare that we would change formation. So we were kind of easier to read. So, with you saying that players are kind of moving and constantly changing, it keeps the coach that you're playing against guessing as to what you're actually doing, which is huge. I think it's like, it's kind of football an awful lot of times is like a chess game, and it's like how you set your pieces up. So I'm really excited to see, like, this plan in action when we actually have our own players, because it should be the next level up from what you were watching today. But I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see an awful lot of League One players coming into Halifax. So do you think that was part of the scope and the part of the reason why they brought in Patrice? Because we really haven't had a huge pipeline from League One Ontario, because obviously they're going to go to the Ontario teams. That's why we've kind of been the PLSQ, and obviously we got Escobar from League One BC. So do you think that was a big part of why they brought him in too?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And just very quickly on the point you made a moment ago about like looking forward to seeing how he implements it in this league. I think that's an interesting thing about this as well, because you and I talked about when we were talking about Alejandro Dorado last season. Like, I think we both thought and just did like the Catholic cross, if anyone wondering. We both thought like maybe he was trying to implement a system which was quite complex and the players weren't necessarily good enough to implement it. But you think about what Patrice has been doing in League One Ontario, where he's working with players who hypothetically are not all at the level of a CPL player, yet he's introduced and implemented this incredibly complex rotational system. And that tells me his messaging and his coaching is spot on and his instructions are crystal clear. Because I was watching those games thinking all of these players know their jobs inside out. And that's down to a coach who, crystal clear with messaging. Everyone knows their jobs. So I'm so curious and so excited to see how it translates. Next question in terms of like finding players in League One Ontario, didn't he say earlier that like 30 to 35 players he thought from that league were capable of playing in the CPL?
He when he's talking about Jenkins, he's talking about like watching the games and studying like the opponents, and he said there's always like one player that would stand out and you kind of would hope that they get onto that next level. But what I found interesting when he was actually talking about that is it wasn't just their level of play. I think he also said that we want to talk to the person before we even bring them in, of whether they're going to be able to do the travel, stepping up to the professional game. So it's almost like the talent part of it is like 50%, and then the other 50% is like who they are as a person. Because I think that's been part of our issue too, is that like we're obviously playing in Halifax, it's a huge part of being a Wanderer is that you're traveling a lot more than a lot of the other teams. Like there is an awful lot more travel involved for us. So I think that was like music to my ears too, and that was probably a message that Derek and Max, I know that they've behind the scenes have probably been concerned about some of the players we're bringing in who probably just haven't been able to cope with the turnaround, because once the season starts, there's not an awful lot of sessions where you can have like hard sessions you can have with players. A lot of it is like rest, and then you're kind of just prepping for the next game, because like the travel just takes so much out of them, because it's not just a 1 day turnaround, it's usually a 2 or 3 day, and then you need to rest and all that kind of stuff. So I picked that up and I thought that was like, he's as you said, it's probably something that was brought up in the interview process, and he's been like really smart and letting Derek and Matt know that he's on the case, you know what I mean? So
do you remember as well when we did the live podcast, I think you asked Matt what they were looking for in a coach and in the new players, and the big thing he said was emotional intelligence, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And when you have a schedule like we're going to have and all of the travel cross country, you need people who can sit next to each other on a plane for 3 or 4 hours and still be friends by the end of it. You need characters in the dressing room who aren't going to sulk because, oh God, I've got to get up at 4 to catch a flight. And it's incredibly important in this league, especially because I mean, I think all clubs have probably suffered from this, but obviously we're very close to Wanderers and you hear things on the grapevine, but we've had several players who the personalities have just not been suited to the group and not been suited to the sort of environment this league has created for players. So that's got to be the number one thing. Like you need that togetherness, and you need people who have emotional intelligence and can read a room and understand how to behave and how to carry themselves.
And I think it was something that Rampy brought up too, about like, he's talking about the younger guys that, like the prep and getting used to that travel part of it. That's a big part of the game. And I think that like one of the things I really noticed from the press conference today, and it's little things with me that kind of stick out in my mind, is that, like, you know, when you ask a question, he doesn't know me from Adam, doesn't know anybody pretty much on Zoom from Adam, but he always clocked your name. So like when I asked him, like, you know, you could tell he was listening, because straight away he was like, well, Anthony, blah blah blah, and it kind of just made you feel,
well, Mr. the pub.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But normally it's just like, oh, whatever, blah 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 blah. And I just thought it was a nice touch that he was kind of paying attention to who was asking the question and addressing the answer back to them. You know what I mean? So, and he probably has media training, but I just thought that was like, it's little things like that. I think it's just like attention to detail. So, you know,
you really notice that with people like outside of football. Like, I think that's the biggest way to endear yourself to someone is by, number one, like remembering their name and like remembering little details they say to you about their life, and like asking them about it when you see them the next time. And it's just like a really like easy social skill, isn't it? And because it like shows the person you're talking to that you have empathy and stuff. So like I thought that in the interview as well, like with the Adam Jenkins interview, like the amount of times, like every answer he would use Adam's name, like, and that again, it just endears you to someone. So hopefully the players respond as well.
Yeah, even like Brandon from Canucks Abroad had like asked a question, and I was kind of muffled in the room, and he like was like, Brandon, I couldn't hear your question. Could you ask again? And it's just that little connection that you made with a lot of people in the room. But I think what I wanted to move on to next is, you know, like you kind of mentioned there about having a complex system and having the players that are able to play that system. And maybe we didn't have the players last year that were able to play the system that we wanted to play at the beginning of the year, and like Alex Dorado style and stuff like that. But a lot of people thought that the players were never brought in for that system, that they tried to put like square pegs in round holes. So do you think that, you know, on the back of Jeremy leaving, Pierre leaving, that we're going to see, and Derek's has talked about 50% of the squad overturning, that's the reason why, that they want to bring in players that they think can fit into the system that they want to play, rather than just, he's a good player, he's got a good name in Canadian football, let's get him.
Yeah, definitely. And I imagine the 50% that come back, the 11, 12, 13, whatever it is, they're players who they're pretty confident will be comfortable in his system, because they'd have known through the interview process the ideas that Patrice had for the way he wants the team to set up next season. So yeah, I'm sure the players they've retained, I mean, obviously there were some who had been retained regardless. Just talking now while we're talking about this, my brain's kind of whirling around now, going, okay, where does Fumpa fit into this system? Where does Omar fit into this? And they're conversations to have down the line, and they're kind of little thoughts to have while you're walking the dog or going for a run, to have, like, to think about this stuff, because not everyone I think of fits into the way he was playing particularly well, but a lot of them do. And I'm sure the recruitment going forward now will reflect that, because again, I mean, we're hearing about this today, but I imagine it's been done for a couple of weeks now. I imagine going back maybe even a month, they had an idea that it would probably be him. So they've obviously started to put things in place for him. I think we'll probably get on to talking about player departures soon enough, and I think that those departures were very much informed by the coach they were bringing in.
Yeah, I was actually just going to move on to that. Like, you know, I think as well, we might see some Vaughan and Zuri players make the step up to come along, because obviously they're trained in the system, and he probably knows that they're good enough to play in the CPL. But like, so we're just switching gears to the departures from the club, and I know it's been kind of a heavy week, and a lot of people were upset, especially with Jeremy leaving, and you know, like we saw that Pierre Lamothe, like, players have this thing now where they do this cryptic message thing, you know, it's like they don't actually say, I'm fucking out of here, peace. It's kind of like this, you know. Pierre said, like, you know, thanks Halifax, and then he tipped up in Pacific 2 days later. So
I did in sorry I don't, we didn't know each other during the first season, I don't think, but at the end of the first season I did this CPL player departure bingo sheet for people to fill out, and it was kind of like all of the the like common things that players say in their goodbye message to the club. So I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like God has a plan for me would be one. Like a love
Bible
heart.
scripture.
A love heart in the color of their team, so a blue heart for Wanderers. Can't wait to see what the next chapter holds. Just stuff like that.
New challenge would be one.
Yeah, new challenge. Best fans in the league.
Yeah,
you were the best fans in the league. I've enjoyed my time here. And I was just like, when I was looking at their departure messages, I was like trying to remember what was on that bingo sheet.
So like there's been kind of obviously there's a lot of rumors floating around since the season stopped as to who was kind of coming, who was kind of going and stuff like that. And I know that I heard that Jeremy was thinking of leaving, and I think that's the one that people were kind of upset the most because obviously he was being like one of our best players in the last 2 years. So looking at it, and before, I think a lot of people were upset because it feels like we've kind of let people's contracts run down and not put in an option offer, and then it's kind of we've left it too late. And I think that's the perception, because I think the club hasn't been the greatest at putting the message out there as to what's happening. Like obviously they've got a new coach coming in, but when Pierre Lamothe gets picked up by Pacific, and there's nothing from us like saying thank you or that kind of stuff. It just kind of it was rankling with people, and you could see the noise on Twitter and stuff, that people were kind of upset that we'd let 2 players leave and didn't take up their option. But do you see now why we've kind of moved on, and what do you think of the 2 guys and their time here in Halifax and what they brought to us? Just to kind of be nice on the flip side of it, I guess.
I think like the first point about the messaging and it rankling with people, that like what are the clubs supposed to do? Like the club aren't working with Pacific to like correlate an announcement from them with us announcing departures. Like the club will have a date in mind where they're going to announce everyone who's re-signing and departing, and that's the date. Like just because they then get word from Pacific that we're going to announce it on this day, they can't bring forward all of this shit, all of these articles they've prepared, quotes and stuff, just because Pacific are going to do that. Like I think sometimes you've just got to take the hit on something like that and go, like that's what can we do? So yeah, I'm not asked about that, to be honest. In terms of Jeremy and Pierre's legacy, that's an interesting question actually, because so I think to start with Lamothe, I think he was more polarizing than the reaction to his departure news would suggest. I think I'm on record. I was always quite a big fan of him. I like him as a player quite a lot. But I don't think he was never like a solid starter for us, was he? Like I can't even think of a month where he played 75%. Sorry, where he started 75% of the games. Like he was a really good CPL squad player, and hopefully for him, because he seems like a nice guy, he'll go to Pacific and become someone a bit more nailed on. But again, if we're talking about and assuming that Patrice is going to implement this system that he was playing with Vaughan, like a player like Lamothe doesn't quite fit into that, because Lamothe's like quite a metronomical number 8 who kind of links the attack and the defense, but that sort of player doesn't really exist in the way Patrice has been setting his teams up. So yeah, that's fine. Like I hope he has a really good career, nice guy, but not overly concerned. Jeremy, I do understand people's frustrations because he was probably our second, arguably our best player last season. But I think here there's a life outside of football as well that people don't necessarily think of when they're getting upset about players leaving. People have commitments. The club wants to be professional but also be empathetic to the human side of things, and they don't want to kind of punish anyone who's been a really good professional. So I think there's stuff there that is also to be considered that people may not know about. Again, also kind of like Pierre, I'm not sure he massively fits into what Patrice would want to do with the team, as good a player as he is. And I really, really like Jeremy. I'm not sure he fits completely into what Patrice would want to do. That being said, I would probably still have kept him just because he seemed like an incredibly good professional who kind of set a good example for the younger players. And yeah, I think he will be missed, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see him back at the grounds in a different coloured shirt before too long.
Yeah, that's the rumors anyway. That
I won't say what color, but it's out there though.
Yeah, green. No, but you're totally right, and I think that like Jeremy's 27. It's not like he's 21. So you do get those commitments as you kind of get a little bit older, and there's probably something in life that just kind of moves him away from wanting to stay in Halifax and away from his family like for 8-9 months of the year. But it's once again, it's another one of those that people's perceptions have been that we just kind of let him go, and we didn't really put up a fight to keep him. I think if you're trying to have a deep line six who is calm and collected on the ball, like Rampy is the person that you would spring to your mind straight away, and I think that's probably like what we're probably looking for here. What you were talking about, the setup. I think Jeremy's a little bit more advanced and just like is a person just going to knock the ball, like break stuff up and just pass it around. So I think I could see why we've done it. It doesn't. I'm upset to see him go, like just because of the person. He's an amazing ambassador he was an amazing ambassador for the club. He's an amazing person, really good player, and we're definitely going to miss him. But I think as we all kind of need to put a bit of faith in what Patrice is trying to do, and I think you're right. He would have had some sort of say in those kind of who we keep, who we don't keep. I think with Pierre, that opportunity probably came up. He's probably offered something, and he just couldn't sit on his hands any longer, and he just kind of had to make the move. I totally agree with you. I think that he never got that consistency, but on the flip side for him, I think that's a lot to do with the system that we had. He always felt like he was slightly out of position, but was never 100% involved in what was going on in the game. He's not the type of guy that can grab the game by the scruff of the neck and control a game. Like he's kind of he pops up in pockets and he's able to do stuff. I think Patrice's system might have actually suited him, to be honest with you, the type of player that he is. But I really hope that he does go to Pacific and becomes more than just a squad player again. I think he's definitely got the talent. If you watch them Friday night at the time, you can see he's got a great touch, he's got great vision. It was just never consistent enough. And also the system that Stephen had, I don't think it really played to his strengths either. And I think coming to Halifax in the first place was probably a mistake for him. I feel like his agent probably just didn't do the homework properly on the way that Stephen plays the game, I suppose. Right?
His agent follows me, mate. Go easy. I'm going to slide into my DMs having a go at me. I'm not the Irish one. Leave me alone.
Oh, God.
Honestly, sorry, just the last thing on this. If you really, I know I kind of rushed through it earlier, but if you really nail down the way Vaughan played last year, I can't see where either of them would fit in. Neither of them. So, again, you've got your 5 defensive players. Neither of them really could do that 6 thing because it's so dynamic. And if you think about the 5 attackers, neither of them are wide forwards. Yep. Neither of them are 10s because, again, Vaughan played with really narrow 10s, 2 10s, really narrow just off the striker. And neither of them are that. And obviously neither of them are a number 9 either. So, yeah, I get it. It's sad, but I get it.
Yeah, I think that when people talk about the 50% of players that could potentially be leaving, I don't think the first player that wouldn't have come into their mind was Jeremy, to be honest with you. Like Pierre, maybe just because, as you said, he wasn't a starter every game, but Jeremy was obviously definitely one that people have grown to like and all that kind of stuff.
Him and Rampy were I think the only ones people would be gutted about, and Morelli as well, obviously.
But I'm often painted as this negative person, but I haven't been to the press conference today and just heard the guy talk. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and go along for the ride and see how it goes, because I said it before, I'd rather be at the Wanderers ground watching us score 3 goals and lose 4-3 or something, just to get me excited, get me pumped up, rather than just sitting there going oh geez, we're dragging out another fucking 0-0, 1-0 thing here. You
Mate,
know what I mean? So
even privately, you were really positive. Like,
yeah.
like sometimes me and you can come on here and like be a bit more polite about things than we are when we're just chatting privately. But like even privately, you were like, "Well, I'm really excited about this. I think it's a brilliant hire and stuff."
But because I was like, you know, people had told me that there were the rumors of the short list, and I was just like, this is so the short list. Like Patrice had never been mentioned whatsoever. It was like the usual suspects, and I'm kind of glad
the
that
shortlist was fucking dull.
Yeah.
Like the one I was hearing, it was like, oh Jesus! But he was never on it, so it's probably shitty information.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'm kind of glad that, like, you know, I kind of my hopes weren't exactly like high after hearing what the shortlist is, and then suddenly, like, you know, Derek and Matt just kind of pulling out a bag, and like just seeing the two of them today, you could tell that they're buzzing for it. Like, you know, like I think that buzzword of, as you said, like the attacking football thing, and like, you know, it was hammered into people's heads. I think that Derek has listened to what the criticism has been of that team that we had for like the last 2 years, and they definitely want to turn around. So I don't think we can blame Derek and Matt for not having the guts to go out and get somebody who's going to.
That's in terms of guts, yeah, and like the way he sets up is football with a lot of guts as well. Like I was chatting to Shep earlier about it, and we were like, we're going to get smashed like 4 or 5-0 once or twice next season. 100% we're going to get smashed 4 or 5-0 once or twice next season. But in terms of the overall product and the overall kind of football we watch at the grounds, it will hopefully be a trade-off that's worth it, because we'll be playing really exciting football and really risky, high-risk, aggressive football as well, which we want to see. And like final point on him, because I've seen like the more like negative reactions to it have been centered around the fact that he doesn't have professional experience, which is fair enough. But who are the two most successful coaches in the Canadian Premier League? Tommy Wilden Jr. and Bobby Smyrniotis, and neither of them had professional experience before they joined the league. So that's not something that bothers me.
I heard that. You know, but with this league being so new and it's a bit like there's so much untapped talent here in Canada, didn't even cross my mind. Like I couldn't really, like, he ran like, you know, a semi-professional club. There's an awful lot of stuff that goes into running one of those. So, you know, I'm sure he knows what he's doing. So yeah, so just before we tip into the mailbag and all that kind of stuff, just a quick word on, I guess, the disappointing journey that poor Alex Dorado had. You know, like, I mean, he came in here with a lot of hype around him, obviously with the UEFA Pro license. You know, super nice guy, like one of the nicest guys. That always had time for you at the Wanderers grounds and stuff like that. But I feel like he was really unlucky that he came into the club at the declining part of that cycle, and he kind of got like dragged along with it. And I think he never really got a chance to do what he wanted in his own right. So I kind of feel bad for him, but I think that with the experience he has and the type of guy he is, like, he'll bounce back. So
yeah, he'll be fine. I mean, like you said, it was just maybe right person, wrong time.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, and we did him no favors because we talked about this a lot, but like he was always going to be tarred with the brush of last season. If I think I've got that saying the wrong way around, but you know what I mean? Like, he was always going to, like, people were going to think of him as being one of the reasons for the failures of last season. So at the end of the day, like, he'll get work as a David Tennant lookalike if he doesn't continue in coaching. So he'll be fine.
He can go to Comic Cons in like really terrible cities and just be a David Tennant lookalike.
Just step in and out of phone boxes, or just until someone asks him for an autograph.
You'd have to work on a Scottish accent first. So the mailbag, I did want to kind of somebody had mentioned when you're going to go back to Discord. So I just thought I'll let you touch on that first before we got into the rest of it.
I don't know. Maybe when like the new signing, I love the Discord when there's like new signings happening, because there's a few little detectives on there. That part of it's really fun. But then I'll probably leave as the season's starting, because I like to think about things for myself, and my opinion becomes too like easily led. So I need a bit of time to think about like what's going on myself. And so I'll probably will when we start signing players. jump back on for a bit.
Derek Simon had a good question. I know it's early, we don't know who all is coming back, but at this point, what do you see as our biggest positional role needs in the off season?
Left back.
Yes.
Especially because they probably don't listen, do they? I don't think particularly our left backs were very good last season. And a left back in the way Patrice set up his Vaughan team is a really, really important position, because that left back is not only a left back, they're also a central midfielder. So we need someone like technically, you know what? I don't know his name, but whoever the guy was for Vaughan doing that job, like he was the number 3 for them. He was fantastic. Like usual, who knows if that translate into a professional level, but he looked good. But yeah, we need, I'd say, a left back, because that seems to be the key to the security of this system that he plays. Not necessarily the attacking side of it, but the security in transitions and the security in kind of just plugging those holes. So left back, and then yeah, well, we're going to need to rebuild the midfield as well.
Yeah.
To be honest, but that midfield is, again, we're kind of assuming he's going to play the same way, but that midfield now has become a position where we need very, very attacking centre midfielders who are essentially number 10s. So that's going to be part of it as well. What do you think?
I totally agree. I think with the left back situation, and I think we didn't do ourselves much favor because we hyped up Tabby quite a lot. And I don't like, he came like, obviously it was his first year as professional, but he came from like a kind of a lower level college team, and I think the step up is huge, and you could see that in a lot. Like there's something there, because you can see it when he's playing. He is a good player, but it's just, you know, at the pace of the game, I think caught him by surprise, and you saw how hard it was for Omar to fit in there too. And Escobar, I don't think has really had a chance to do anything, to be honest with you. But
is he signed on for next year, Escobar? I think he is.
I think so. But I felt like he never, like, you know, he got injured towards the end of the year, so he didn't play all that much. We never really got a chance to see him. But I think Tabby, like, if he doesn't come back, like, I don't think he should give up, because I think that there's definitely something there. Like, I think he'd be a good candidate for the under 23s. He is under 23, right?
Yeah, I would stick him there. He needs another couple of years in like an adult environment. Because he's not quite physically there yet, I don't think.
So yeah, so I definitely think left back would be one. And as you said, I mean, like, I still think that we need a striker. Like, as you said, like that pivotal. If he has that pivotal player up front, like, you can see Joe Moretti kind of playing behind him. I can't see Joe Moretti like playing as a striker in a system. I know we have Amla, but he's kind of unproven again. So yeah. I think,
I mean, on paper, Amla is the profile we need, but it's just whether he can.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people saw glimpses of him, like glimpses of the talent that he has, like last year. And I know a lot of people are kind of talking about, but I like that. Like it's a broken record, but I still think we need to have like somebody who's proven to come in and just just get the ground running, and then kind of bring along those kind of guys with them. I don't know if Salter is the player to do that. So
I mean, Salter would, because it depends. Again, we played Salter as a right winger, really, didn't we? And that the wingers in the way Patrice plays stay very, very wide. But the idea with Salter was he was a winger who tucked in and kind of became a de facto striker. So so many questions like that about players we've got and how they fit in.
So I hope you appreciate our non-answers there, Derek.
We left back.
Yeah, there we go. Left back and a striker and a couple of 10s and a couple of midfielders. Probably a new goalkeeper, because we're probably going to lose our 2 goalkeepers.
Don't even get me started on that.
That's going to be definitely different. Where are we? Sorry, I'm just looking through here. Okay, so this one's from Wanderer Dave, and I think this is something I'm kind of interested to get your opinion on. So you want to know if we were going to talk anything about the Canada World Cup. I honestly think that there's enough podcasts that do a stellar job and know a lot more about it, such as the prime of footy and all those kind of guys. So I think they do, like, having ex-Canadian players on there with Jimmy Brennan, and they do a fantastic job. I think Canada's been the first game against Belgium. Personally, I thought that, I'm just going to do this really quickly. I thought that Belgium showed what they are, an aging team. They've no pace in their back line, and Canada really should have taken something from that game. It's great that they got all the kudos and the congratulations afterwards, but you got to win those games, and that's basically what Morocco did. Against Croatia, I thought that the first 20 minutes they were really good again, but there was a lot of naivety, I think, to think that you could keep Atiba Hutchinson and Eustachio in there against the three midfielders that Croatia had. It's just like, once you got that goal, they should have changed the formation to try and contain those three, because that's where it was gone. And then they just cut Canada apart. So I think it's a really good lesson as to where that next level is for Canada, I think. But be interesting to see how it goes against Morocco, because Morocco will be a different proposition because they're a lot more athletic. I think they're a younger squad with a lot of kind of powerful players. See how Canada kind of copes with that. So
you better get this pod out early tomorrow morning, because
I know
what time's that game at?
11 o'clock.
What do you think the score's going to be? Because people probably listen to this after that game's happened. So
I think it's going to be like 2-0 to Morocco. Morocco look pretty decent. So the other one you want to talk about was the terrible CBC reporting. I don't know if you caught this article that somebody on CBC did about Alphonso Davies, Chris Jones for CBC Sports. And the title of it was straight away, you could tell it was going to be a hatchet job. Is Alphonso Davies a celebrity, a potential problem for the Canada men's World Cup team? What a load of bollocks. That's my answer.
I'm always like, with stuff like this, so I'm like, by giving it all the attention that we've all given it, because it is obviously bollocks, like, it just kind of like how many hits would it have had on that story now?
Like, I'm just looking at it here, Andrew. They've got 214 comments on a football piece.
Exactly,
on CBC.
So as far as he's concerned, his bosses are concerned, job done. And that's what they want. It was obviously bollocks. It's, you know what? It reminds me of the way the British press used to talk about Raheem Sterling.
Yes,
and there's a definite undertone on there that I don't want to get sued for libel for, but I mean, you can read between the lines when you see comments like about his bling earrings, and there's fucking undertones there, mate. And that's what he might not even know that's what he's getting at, but that's what he's getting at, this idea of, who do you think you are to behave like that and like not give me the time? And I didn't like that part of it at all. And it kind of muddied. He might have been making a good point elsewhere, but that comment muddied it so much that you just felt a bit dirty reading it. So
there's just been this thing of that. Alphonso Davies has not been making himself available for Canadian journalists and all that kind of stuff. But like, you got to realize that like at a World Cup and these kind of tournaments, like there's a lot to do. Like, I mean, if you're like, you can't, like, not every player is going to be available at the press conferences, because each player is probably set out for their turn to do it, because nobody wants to do it. Because, like, I'm sure the press center is probably far away from where your ground is or your hotel is, right? So you have to travel there, answer some like bullshit questions, and then go back. So like, nobody's volunteering to do that stuff. You're basically being told to do it. And then after a game, you've just lost 4-1. Like, you just want to do the bare minimum. So obviously he's going to talk to, like, TSN is the World Cup partner, so he's going to talk to TSN, and he'll probably talk to like One Soccer, because they cover the Canadian men's national team. Like what more do you want from him? I don't get it. And it's
the people he didn't talk to. They're not like the broadcasters or the video press. They're the fucking people in the mix zone. Just a bunch of dudes sticking fucking dictaphones under his mouth. Like, I wouldn't fucking talk to them either, quite frankly. What are your thoughts, Fonzie?
Yeah,
like, exactly. Like, he's like fulfilled his obligations, talked to other people. Like, I just thought it was.
I just think there's no need for it. Like, obviously, there's a lot of positivity around the Canadian men's national team, despite the defeats, and I just think that he's kind of sullied it a little bit. And as you said, like, I mean, like, I think part of it was that the diamond earrings he has are more than one of the players earns in a year and all that kind of stuff. It's like, get fucked. You know what I mean? Like, is he supposed to walk around in like rags because the other guys don't earn as much money as him? It's fucking bollocks.
And do you think like a team like Wales, Gareth Bale, like
yes,
that,
like every player has a every team has a superstar. Like when Beckham was at the LA Galaxy, like there's guys that were earning 100 grand a year, and then he's earning 30 or 40 million. But it is what it is, and it's like, you know, you shouldn't begrudge anybody something, like, you know, because
how sensitive do they fucking think the rest of the Canada players are? I don't think they're all sitting around going, "Oh, Fonzie turned up in his nice car today. I feel really sad about it." Of course they're fucking not. They're like, if he wins us a game on his own, I get a massive fucking bonus. Happy days.
He turned up in his Lamborghini, and I turned up in my Fiat Punto. Fuck that guy.
Mummy Fonzie turned up in his nice car again. And I rode her on my shitty bike.
So my advice to people would be: do not go to CBC for your football and content right now.
Have they got a bit of a reputation at CBC? I always assume they were kind of like the BBC back home, which is on paper neutral. Is that CBC's angle? Yeah,
that's kind of what they are, but obviously, like, they, unlike the BBC, they have adverts and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different, I guess. But at the same time, though, like the whole of the media system in Canada hasn't had an agenda, but just doesn't give a shit about football. And then when the women's team became successful, they kind of jumped a little bit on the bandwagon, and now they're trying to do the same thing with the men because people are starting to pay attention to what's going on. I know that with the Ireland games, they were showing some of the games, but I guess they said they weren't getting the numbers, so they ditched it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's you're going to see now, with especially the World Cup ramping up in 4 years' time here in Canada, that you're going to see more and more of them paying attention to it. But I think if they're going to, like, that's not fair and balanced. That's just fucking some twats idea of like trying to create a headline, and it's awful. Anyway, so moving on to the next part of Dave's thing. I don't know if you saw this, but I got kind of a little bit kind of pissy about this one. So Kevin Kilbane, as you know,
I fucking saw it. Yeah, it all kicked off during the Euros as well. And
Irish legend that he is. So he met his wife on Strictly Come Dancing. The two of them were on there. She's Canadian. She wanted to move back home. He moved here with her. Obviously, he needs a job because you need to be able to afford to live here. And if you want to get a visa and become a permanent resident, you need to have a job. And his job is working in the media because, like, he worked for BBC, he worked for News Talk back home in Ireland. So, like, you know, and he writes for the Irish Times. So he's a journalist in his own right, as well as an ex-football player who's played at a World Cup. So this idea of him, there's, as you said, as you talked about, like, the undertones and stuff of that, the undertones of this felt to me like that it's an immigrant taking somebody else's job. That's the way. That's the undertone that I felt, and it's not the first time this has kind of been laid out against him. I think it was, as you said, like during the Euros, he was on there, and I can't remember who it was, had said that, why is there not a Canadian person on there? It's like, he's played in a fucking Euro finals, like, and he's played at World Cup, like, and you know, he's well
a Canadian
respected,
permanent resident or citizen as well.
Yeah, so it's like what's going on here? Like, what do you care? Like, I mean, if you watch the BBC at home, or if you watch RTE in Ireland, like, Didi Hamann is, with his hybrid Liverpool accent, is like giving his opinions on the game because he's played for Germany. He's played like amazingly top games. Like, why would you not want to have that person on the panel to give their advice rather than some Irish guy who, like, probably hasn't played that many games? You know what I mean? I don't understand it. And
stick on Sky Sports back home. It's Thierry Henry, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, like. Yeah,
Gilberto Silva is like popped up on the BBC like in this World Cup. So
you're right. I mean, I'm sure the intention was probably good. Was it Paul Pesky Salido tweeted it? Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, I tweeted this back, like, you apply the sentiment to what he was saying to any other profession, and you think about how dodgy it sounds. Like, there's a cleaner job. Like, why is that foreign person taking this cleaner job when there's Canadians who could take it? Why is this person taking this, like, engineering job when there's Canadians who should have it? Like, it sounds really sketchy when you like kind of apply it to any other job. But for some reason it's okay to say that about a punditry job.
I thought that Craig Forrest kind of jumped in because I guess he's like, you know, they played together. And I think
the thing with sorry, just annoyed me for no reason. Every time he replied to something, he used this weird emoji of like a guy with glasses and these goofy teeth to like kind of say, "Oh, I'm just being silly. I'm just like this little silly comment," and like to try and like pacify what he was saying. Look at every one of his replies.
Oh my god, that's so fucking annoying. But yeah, Craig Forrest obviously jumped in, and you know, he kind of said, in fairness to him, I said that it's not an easy job. It's like there's a lot of work that goes involved with, and he said he was happier doing the podcast that he does. So, you know, Kevin Kilban's a great guy. Kevin Kilban, obviously he's Irish, so I'm going to stick up for him like a little bit. He also gets a lot of that kind of press, like he was born in Preston and he's got an English accent, so that gets thrown out quite a lot too.
That got thrown at him when he was playing as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because there was like that area of like a lot of the players for the Irish team had English accents and stuff.
Like, you know, like his family's all from Ireland and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, he is Irish, and it's just another bullshit distraction that somebody just causing trouble on Twitter. And I just left a really bad taste in my mouth. So
mate, we've had like 10 minutes of proper airing our grievances about those two things, haven't we?
I know.
Therapy.
Thanks, Dave.
Cheers, Dave.
Yeah,
you proper wound us up.
We're definitely not going to ever answer one of your questions again, because I just feel like I want to cry now. It's like, oh my god, I've got so many bad stories. This one is from Denton, and this is a great question actually. Tell us a footy story. What's your favorite example of a newly hired manager of any league who immediately proved he was the wrong choice to lead a team even before the season started?
So most people listening will know who this is, but just really, really quickly for those that don't, there's an English player who was really famous in the early 90s called Paul Gascoigne, or Gheisar, and he was like known as being this complete like maverick talent, but he also had his demons. Like, he was alcoholic, he liked a bit of a sniff of the white stuff, and after he retired, he had a 39-day spell as manager of Kettering Town, who are my local club are Russian and Diamonds, but 15 minutes down the road is Kettering Town, who were in the same league as them a lot of the time, and big rivalry. So Paul Gascoigne took over at Kettering Town. He was, again, not making light of it, but like, he was like pretty fucking hammered for the majority of his tenure. Like, when he got fired after 39 days, the chairman said that he had logged 37 incidents of like drunkenness or poor behavior in those 39 days.
Holy shit.
During the fallout from his firing, Paul Gascoigne tried to then buy the club, because I guess he still had a bit of money and spanked it all away by that point. So like, he got fired, he refused to be fired, and then he tried to buy the club. All on the back of a 39-day tenure where he was pissed for most of it. So yeah, that's mine. What about you?
I think, just before I say my one, I definitely think there's a book in there for you somewhere. Because if they can do the Damn United, which was like Brian Clough in 42 days or whatever it was at Leeds, imagine what you get out with Gaza at 39 days. I'm sure you go back to the people who were there.
A mate of mine was playing in the academy at the time as well. He would have been like 18 or 19, so I might see if he knew what was going on at the time.
That'd be incredible. Mine would probably be Roy Hodgson when he took over at Liverpool. As soon as he signed Paul Konchesky, who like followed him around like a bad smell wherever he went to, and he was like Harry Redknapp had Nico Cranshire. Roy Hodgson had Paul Konchesky, and when he tipped in there to a club of the stature of Liverpool, it just kind of it was just never right, was it?
You know, I
think he brought in Andre Vaughan in as well. I think it was another one of his signings.
His first, I remember that because his first game was against Arsenal, and Joe Cole had been his big summer signing, and Joe Cole got sent off after about 20 minutes. It was like, here we go.
Yeah, I think even like and considering that he was the former England manager, but even like, I think Steven Gerrard was just like, had said like it just wasn't the right fit. So that was an odd appointment for me anyway. I think that was right after Kenny Dalglish had left, and just before Brendan Rodgers took over. It was that kind of like little gap. So it was that was definitely mine. So Denton, great question. Thanks a mil. I think that's pretty much it. So we've touched base on an awful lot of stuff there. We went over the manager, the departing players. We had a good ranting session. Yeah,
good now. Yeah, I feel like refreshed and reset.
As we said that we don't really want to get into the World Cup because there's enough podcasts and stuff being rammed down people's throats with the World Cup. I just don't want to really get into it. So if anybody has any ideas of what a podcast episode they'd like us to do, let us know. I'm sure once players start signing for the Wanderers, we'll probably have some interviews. We'll probably try and get the main man himself to come on, the new coach. One of my favorite moments of today actually though was when they, I don't know if because I was in the room, were they live streaming the press conference on YouTube or something? Or...
I was in meetings at work, mate. I'm not sure.
Because when Derek actually announced him, he called him Patrick, and then he had to correct himself. It was fucking amazing. Like, Patrick.
Jesus.
And he actually asked me not to mention it, but I thought
you've just mentioned it.
Yeah, maybe in the complete
our tiny listener base.
Yeah, so hopefully Derek. I know Derek listens in every now and again, so hopefully you had to listen to that. And also want to say thanks for the tea. I bitched and complained that there was no tea at the conference, so I'm quite happy that
such a diva, mate.
I don't. The fact that somebody went down and got, I was like totally just taking the piss anyway. But so the fact somebody went down and got me one too was quite nice. So really excited to see where this goes. It's the start of a new chapter, new challenge. Any other cliches you can think of before we go?
I think we're all in.
Yeah, we are all fucking in. Thanks, Gar. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Bye.
Cheers.
Folks, please. Right foot, please. Time to drink up, folks. Get out. Out to book.